Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
What about rest? Are they joining in?
Don't know, sir.
Why no one is joining in the class? Okay. Anyways, we'll continue since last class also we will conduct. As I was giving some of the assignments. Okay. Let's start with the class. Anyways. Okay. So today we'll be looking at something called Ajax. Okay. Now, what is Ajax? Basically, we need to understand what is Ajax first, and then I'll show you how it uses. It's a combination of actually JavaScript and PHP. So the main now just tell me one thing. How can we how can we send our data from client to server? How can we
Sir,
send?
Post and get,
Yes,
post
method
and get, sir.
yeah, post and get. So basically, we need a form. And when does the form submit the data? When does the form submit the data? In what we have to do to submit the data from the form to the server? We, we,
we have
Address.
we have to
give
click
the
on the we have to click on the submit button, right?
yes, sir.
If you don't click on the submit button, you cannot go to the server side. Understood? Till now, you know that. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Do you all agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So what I'll do is today. Now think of if I need to think of a form that you are filling up and your email ID is already registered. Fine. So what does the form should reflect? That this email is already registered. Correct? But while you are filling the form, you have not clicked the submit button. So while filling up the form, you have to interact with the database while client was filling from the form. At that time, the data should come from the server and the client should know that okay, these email IDs are already registered. Understood? The problem is clear what we are trying to solve.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in order to solve that problem, the this Ajax came into the scenario. So what web developers thought that we need something through which we can interact with the database while the client is running the front end. Okay, without clicking on the submit button. That I'm not submitting the whole data, but I need to interact with the database at that time. So that is what Ajax is all about. So basically, Ajax is a combination of JavaScript. It's a JavaScript code. Okay, that will send your data from that will call a server side script and run it. So Ajax is basically a JavaScript code that will call a server side script and run it, and the result will be sent back to the current web page where you are working on, whatever result is required. That is basically is Ajax. So I'm sharing my screen. I don't know, the network is slow or what. Just wait a minute. It's taking some time. I guess the screen is visible. Okay. So this is the code, generic code that you can find in any website. Okay, to execute a Ajax. Okay. So we will try to understand what the code is and what each line means. and how we can use it to create a Ajax application, okay, wherever we need it.
Sir, screen is not visible.
Maybe network is slow because I'm in university and the network is very slow here. Uh, just wait for some time. Let me know when the screen is visible.
So you are opening Notepad now?
Yes.
It is visible.
Okay. Okay then. So who cannot see the screen?
Sir, me, Rishikesh, right?
Okay. Maybe your side network is slow then. Okay. So,
Sir, let me log out and log in.
okay. I'll just wait for 2-3 minutes. Please log out and log in. Logged in.
Visible, visible, sir. Yes, sir.
Visible now. Okay. Okay. Let's try to understand. Let's try to understand the code that is written here. Okay. So basically this is a function. We don't have to worry about this part. A function is called and a value is being sent from some HTML element called txt hint. We are not bothered about that. The main thing that we are bothered about is this. Okay. XML HTTP request. Okay, XML HTTP request. So XML HTTP request is a method through which we can uh, uh, create a HTTP request. What is HTTP?
Hypertext transfer protocol.
Yes, hypertext transfer protocol. Why is it used?
It is used for the transferring the some protocols.
Yes, so when you are transferring hypertext type of data, so whatever rules we need to follow, whatever rules we need to follow, that is known as HTTP. That means we are trying to send our data. Now with XML, HTTP request is a class. Okay, try to understand that. XML, HTTP request is a class, and we are creating an object of that class called, this name can be anything. This name can be anything. Main is this. This is the constructor that is constructing the XML HTTP object. Okay. So this object can be A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, whatever name you want to give. Now, during the calling, means how we can dynamically call it without the pressing the submit button, is there is a uh, attribute called on ready state change. So we will call that on ready state change attribute. So what happens when we called on ready state change? So we create a function with no name, just a dummy function. If ready state is this dot ready state, whoever is calling this means XML HTTP object dot ready state. This refers to the object who is calling the function. It is called by the XML HTTP object. So this refers to that. This pointer. Do you remember this pointer in C++? PHI as this. This always refers to the object who is using the function at that current point of time. Okay. So if the ready state is 4, ready state means uh, uh, whether your whole operation is complete or not. Okay. If the operation is complete and this dot status means whether the page you are referring to is available or not. If it is available and the operation is complete, then what you need to do, you will do. So whatever response is received, so this is called this dot response text. Okay. Now, how do we call the page in the server? To call the page in the server, there is a method called open and send. So, the open method, now it will not be a post method. Why? It should be a get method now. Why? Can anyone explain that? We will use a get method to send to communicate with the server. Why? What is the basic difference between when do I use a post method and when do you use a get method?
For sending the data, we use get method, and for receiving the data, we use or displaying the data on a screen, we use post method.
No. The basic difference is post method you will use when the client will themselves knowingly send the data from client to server. That I am posting this data from my machine to the server. That's why post. Okay. So that's why when you are using a post method, whatever data is sent is not displayed on the browser. Browser means in the browser title bar or the URL bar, sorry. Okay. But in the get method, what happens? The server will take the data from the client, whether the client is accepting it or rejecting it, it doesn't matter. It don't give that uh, power to the user client. Okay, the authority is not given to the user that I will not allow my data to be sent to server, but if that particular script is running, automatically data will be taken from the client side to server side. Okay, understood? That's why whatever data is sent will be displayed on the URL bar of the browser, so that the user knows what data is being means is going on from his client side to server side. Okay, it will not wait for the user confirmation that I click on the submit button, then only the data will be sent. That is post. So I don't need to click on any button. Automatically, if a particular condition is satisfied according to the script that I have written, the data will be sent from client to server. Okay, fine. Now, where will it send the name of the file? So whatever PHP page you want to send the data, that PHP page. Question mark. Along with that, what if you want to pass any parameters you want to pass? So here I am passing up a parameter called q and whose value is stored in a variable called str. And if there are more than one parameter, they will be separated by ampersand sign. Okay, and then true. Then we have to call the function called send that will send this to the particular user. Sorry, PHP page. And in the PHP page, I have to write one more PHP page to work on that. That PHP page, whatever that thing is printed, that will come here. Whatever response is printed, and in print or means I write something, print this, echo this, print or echo, whatever is printed there will be the response text. So basically, we are trying to okay, let's try to write the code and see what we can do with it. We created a server, right? So let me run that server first. So just take some time. Just wait for some time. Okay. Okay. By that time, let me start with the code. So let us build a HTML page. Uh, Script I will add later on. So I want to test whether my Ajax code is running or not. So basically, let's call it. So what we do is create a paragraph, the demo ID, align to center, and then let's create enter your name or enter your uh, user ID. So what I'll do, I already have a database that we have designed in the previous class. So whatever user ID you are entering, if it is already there, I want the HTML code to show me that this user ID is already present or already registered. Okay, and if it is not there, it will not show anything. Okay, so I'm using a text box for that. So I'm putting space, input type, and giving the name as UID, identifying it as UID. Let's call it liquid. There is no submit button. There is no submit button. Now, challenge will come up, and I'll just one. Okay, below this, I create a div ID equal to display. Save it. Where will I save it? I have to go to the server since I'll be running a PHP script thing for this part. I'll have two files, one with HTML script and one with a PHP script. So go to the server. How was this PHP tutorial? Was it? Yes. So I'll save it as Ajax example.html. Okay. Now, my question is, if I want to write a JavaScript code here, if I want to write a JavaScript code here, and I have a function called showUser. How will I call the function? I need your inputs on that. When will I call this function? You can reply in the chat box also. Just waiting for it. When should I call the function? so that it gives me back whether this particular user ID is already present in the database or not. I
So
don't have I
after writing,
after writing, yes. So that event will be here inside the text box code. What event I will use? So there is a event called change on change. Whenever the value of the text box is changing on change, I will call the function whatever function I have to call. So the name of the function was show user, and what I want to send, I want to send the value of this text box where I am writing this dot of value. Is it clear? Is it clear?
so one more time this line.
Yes. I want to call this function whenever there is a change in the text box that I am writing something. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. To use that, there is a event called on change. Right? When on change event is activated, we call a function called show user. Okay. Now that show user function will be called, and I want to pass the value of this text box to that function. So this dot value, the value of this text box. Okay. So that goes and gets stored here as str. Okay. If str is blank, there is nothing written, so the blank will be displayed in this div. So name of the div is display. So document dot get element by id display equal to blank, return. It will not go any further. Otherwise, we create a xml http request, and we call a function called, okay, let us keep that as get user.php, and in a variable called q the value str is passed to this php page, and we send it. And if all the operations are complete, then inside this display function, whatever response I'll get from this php page, that will be displayed. So that is the aim. So now I need to create one more page called getuser.php, right? So what we do is, what happened? RAM server is not working. It's working. I go to PHP MyAdmin, since why I went there, because which database I want to work with, I have to check. Let's go to this C drive. RAM says 164. So here I will add my page. So we all already have a connection.php already set up there. Still not logging. So now our I forgot which database we created in the college. No. Okay. Yes, we created the shopping database, and there was a table called admin, um, where there was user ID and password. So we'll try to track whether a particular user ID was present or not. Just for a second, it doesn't carry any meaning. I just want to test whether Ajax is working or not. So basically, get user.php we have to create. So I start with PHP. First is connection.php. We have to include that. Include connection.php. Now, how to take that data? It was stored in a variable called q. And the name of this page, let's save it first. Should be get user.php. Let's make it all files and save it. Okay. So I have connected with the database and I take $UID equal to dollar underscore get. Name of the variable was q. Now in $UID I have a user ID. Now I want to check whether this user ID is present or not. So I'll simply write a query as mysqli underscore query. In the connection statement we use $con, a single n or double n I forgot. So let me check it is. Let me check it once again. Single n, con. Okay. Uh, so we'll use that $con, comma. So query will be select star from admin where admin user ID is equal to user ID in capital user ID equal to this user ID will be dollar UID. Okay. Now if okay dollar number of rows equal to -scalar underscore num underscore rows dollar query. So if dollar num is greater than 0, that means it is already present. That means once a row is returned. So I'll print user ID already exists. Otherwise, we print user ID. So this should be reflected back in the page from where you have called it. Okay, so now you see my aim is, so let's try to connect. Here I am sending Q using get in the method, and the Q goes to get user.php and it communicates with a database and returns and prints something. Whatever is printed here should be reflected back in this response.text. This response.text I am displaying inside a div called display. Now the div also I have to set up the height and width. So let's write a style for the CSS. Name of the div is hash and display. Just give a height and width. Pixel width will be 100 px or width will be more, suppose 300 px. Let's see whether the div is defined. So I'll just give a border solid black. Done. So let's see what we get. Um, so this D is here. Okay. So it was not closed. Okay. Let save it. User ID, admin, tab. It is not working. It's there. Okay, just give it some time. Sort that out. There is some error maybe. That's why it's not working. Let's check that code here. The WC school to say find that. Let me check there. So what they did here was we'll find this code in WC schools also. Okay, this dot value only they have used on change and the function is called. What is the error here? So use capital in show user and I think I use small user. The function is not called. This user ID already exists. So it went to the database, it checked that this user ID already exists. If I give a new user ID, it will 123, and then I just give a tab, I just come out from there. So it's a new user ID. So it's working. So you have understood this, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And the code is clear. Code is clear.
It, uh, it's take some time to study, sir.
Okay,
Please repeat.
what you do, I'll share this code with you all. Fine, I'll share this code, and then you just go on and study this code. And if you don't understand a part, then just let me know in the next class. Fine.
Sir.
Okay. So
Yes.
basically, we are working with two files. One is this file, and one is the uh, get user.php file. Fine. I'll be stopping the screen share. I hope you understood why we use it. At least that is clear.
Yes, sir, we understood.
Yes. So we can implement it in our projects also, right? So whenever we are trying to submit, create a user registration form, if a user ID or phone number is already there in the database, you have to prompt the user that this user ID and phone number already exist. That you can do now. That you can do. Okay. Okay, then we'll stop here today. Continue in the next class. Fine. So please tell others to be present in the class. Otherwise, whatever I have taught, it again goes in vain. I have to again continue with the same topic in the next class. That is the problem. Okay. tell others to be present in the next class on Friday. Okay, bye for today.